good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. This afternoon, I'm sitting here with Dan Harary. Sounds like Ferrari. And he is now the current chairman of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. We have a mutual friend, Steve Bassett. And Dan is out there in Los Angeles helping with the disclosure. And we're going to learn a little bit more about Dan, especially with his work as an author, a little bit of his background. He's had quite a career, and I think he's an interesting guy. I think you guys are all going to like hearing from him today. So, welcome, Dan. It's a pleasure to have you on Dear People of Earth.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. That's very sweet. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, I wanted to start out with we have a mutual friend, Steve Bassett. You obviously know him quite well, and tell us a little bit about the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, a little bit about what you're doing.
Okay, sure. The Hollywood Disclosure Alliance came about very, very quickly and serendipitously, if that's a word. I think that's a word.
Yeah, you got it.
Serendipitously. So I'm Dan Harary. This is my office in Beverly Hills, California. I've been a Hollywood publicist for 40 years. This month is actually 40 years. In addition to my work as a publicist, I've been an author. I have 3 books that are out already and 2 coming up this May. Last March, and I'm going to answer your question.
No, go ahead.
Last March, my UFO book came out. It's called After They Came. Here it is, right here. This is my baby. It's on Amazon, everybody. So check it out.
Go get it.
Okay, so After They Came is a science fiction novel about two benevolent aliens who come to Earth to save mankind. And we can talk a little bit more about the book later if you'd like. But that came out in March. And starting last March 2023, I appeared at a number of UFO conferences and conventions. The first one was Alien Con in Pasadena, early March last year. And then a few weeks later, mid-March, was UFO Con in San Francisco. So I had a booth at UFO Con and Alien Con, and I was promoting my book, and I met lots of great people at both of those conferences, including Eric Von Daniken, which was a thrill. At UFO Con last March, and my brother came with me because he lives nearby. So we went together, and we saw Stephen Bassett giving a lecture about disclosure. What is disclosure? What does it portend for the future of mankind? Where do we stand with it? All these great things. And my brother and I were sitting there and watching him. He spoke at least an hour, and we were like, wow, this is really interesting. This is really good stuff. Now, I knew who Stephen was from Ancient Aliens and from his appearances on various UFO documentaries. I didn't know about him personally, but I knew who he was, and I knew he was a leading advocate for disclosure. That I knew. Mm-hmm. So after he spoke, was dinner time. So he was at the hotel where the event was, eating dinner with some people, and my brother and I walked past him. And I had a copy of my book. I said, Stephen, I really enjoyed your talk. It was great. Here's my book as a gift. If you're ever in LA, give me a call. And he goes, what do you do in LA? I said, I'm a publicist. He goes, you're a publicist? He goes, I need a publicist. So we exchanged business cards. And that was that in March. Cut to early June last year. Stephen was in LA and called me, and we had lunch. Early June last year. We had lunch in Hollywood. We're talking. He's telling me his life story about disclosure and how important all this is, and his work with John Mack, and brilliant, interesting stuff. And then I told him my life story about Hollywood and celebrities and my PR company that I've owned for almost 30 years. And then he looked at me, Steve, and he goes, Dan, what can we do together? And I went like this. I looked up. I looked down. I said, let's create the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. Now, Stephen, I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know what it was. It came to me. A lot of good ideas in my life have come to me that way. It just came to me. He goes, yeah, that's great. Let's do that. So we shook hands. We didn't know what that was. We didn't really even know what it was, but that was what we were going to do together. 2 days later was Contact in the Desert last year. Stephen invited me. I'd never been to that before.
Mhm.
Stephen invited me. I was his actually his roommate. We shared a room at the hotel. He introduced me to everybody there: George Norrie, Nick Pope, Dolan, Katie Page, Ron Janix, the owner, everyone. And I'm like, wow, this is such a great world. I need to be part of this world. And we were telling everyone that we were going to create the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, which the premise is and was and still is bringing Hollywood storytellers, professional Hollywood storytellers. And Hollywood doesn't just refer to the city of Hollywood. Hollywood means the entertainment industry
Right.
around the world. It's a placeholder name. Obviously, it's a sexy name, but it means the entertainment industry.
Right.
Producers, writers, directors, performers, bringing them together with real life UAP ET experiencers, researchers, and people like Stephen Bassett, advocates and activists.
Mhm.
That was the premise. So at Contact in the Desert, we told Nick Pope, and Nick goes, well, I'm in. I want to be in. We told George Norrie. George goes, Danny, to me. He goes, Danny, make sure I'm the very first member of your group. He literally said that right to my face. And we were just telling everyone. Now, we didn't have a logo. We didn't have a website. We didn't have a corporation. We didn't have a board of directors. Stephen and I had those 3 words. That's all we had was 3 words. And everyone we met said, oh, I want to be part of that. Everyone. Okay, so that was Contact in June. Over the summer and fall last year, between Stephen's contacts, and Stephen knows everyone in your world, as you know.
Sure does.
And between him and my 40 years of Hollywood people and contacts and friends that I have, we've been, here's my joke, Steve. I call it chocolate and peanut butter. I'm chocolate, I guess Stephen's peanut butter. We put 2 great flavors together from 2 different worlds. I'm in LA, he's Washington, D.C. We melded 2 different universes together over the summer and fall. On November 2nd, just over 2 months ago, we officially launched our group in Hollywood. And today we have 100 members. Many of them are located around the world.
Mhm.
We have Dee Wallace, who's a very dear friend of mine. She's a movie star. She was the star of the movie E.T.
E.T. Mom.
She's E.T. Mom. She's one of my best friends. We have Thomas Jane, who is a movie star. If you're a baseball fan, he was in 61. He played Mickey Mantle.
Mhm.
And we have another movie star named Dania Ramirez, who was in one of the X-Men movies. Beautiful woman. We are about to get Shirley MacLaine as a member. She's quite a legend. So Stephen and I have been putting this together. So today, about 100, I think we just surpassed 100 members. We have a dedicated Slack channel, so all of our members can communicate privately with each other. That's number 1. Number 2 is later this week, we're launching our very first newsletter, which I created. That's going to go to all our members. And in March, we're going to start our monthly live event series, March 17th. The first one is going to be called The Making of Project Blue Book, the TV series.
Mhm.
And Paul Hynek, who's on our board of directors, and Sean Jablonski, who's on our board. And Sean was the exec producer of that show. They're going to do.
Paul, of course, was Alan's son.
J. Allen Hynek's son, and Paul Hynek, exactly right. They're going to do a talk about like a behind-the-scenes making of Project Blue Book. Well, that was my idea, of course. So I'll throw a tip to my daughter. My daughter's a graphic artist. She came up with the logo. She came up with the website. She does our social, and she's helping me create the newsletter. And Steve, this is cool. We're calling the newsletter the Wow Signal, which I think is great.
Oh yeah, for SETI, yes.
The Wow Signal is the name of our newsletter. It's going to go out maybe tomorrow or Friday. So HDA, if anyone out there is interested, HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. Go to the website. You'll see all the members. You can read about us. You can write to us, and we'll consider you for membership. Essentially, we're looking for, there it is.
Yep.
We're really looking for I mean, it's really open to anyone, but primarily people who have the ability to help craft a story that could be seen on a movie screen or a TV show or a documentary or a book. And we're marrying those people with real life experiencers. I mean, we have Deb Cobble, who was the inspiration for Bud Hopkins' book Intruders, and we have quite a few, quite a few people on that page. Quite a few of those people are experiencers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're starting to gel and meld. It's kind of like a matchmaking making service, Steve. You know what I mean, in a way.
Absolutely.
You know, Ron James, I'm gonna see him on Saturday. He's going to interview me for MUFON TV. You know, Ron is the head of MUFON Media. He's one of our members. We have Margie Kay is the head of the UNX network. She just gave me a podcast. I have my own podcast called Live from Hollywood. It's Paranormal Tonight. I just launched that 2 weeks ago. Margie gave that to me. Yeah, Kathy Barded there. She's Betty and Barney Hill's niece. I mean, we have, you know, Nick Pope and Dolan and Jason Martell and Katie Page, and we have really great people. Earl Anderson, the head of MUFON Southern California.
There's George here too.
There's George. He was their first guy. We made him our very first member.
Nice.
So Steve, it's been
how's
very.
It been? Has it been exciting? Has there been, like, if you're getting these people together, right? I love when you can get like-minded people together, because you have like this bubbles. You know, I see these little bubbles of activity that just pop up everywhere. Have you noticed that? Have you seen, like, just I'm curious if you're already seeing any types of like things coming out of the ether just by putting these people together.
Well, two things. One is there's been a lot of social media acceptance of our group. We have so many. I mean, people. You know, my daughter just posts, and everyone. Oh, I like this. I love this. You know, thumbs up. So a lot of people are, and we're, listen, Steve. We're 2 months old.
Mm-hmm.
I told Bassett the other day. He's like worried. I go, Stephen, we're 2 months old. We're a baby.
Mm-hmm.
We have 100 members in 2 months. And we've gotten some good press, and we're on social pretty well accepted. I go, calm down. Everything's going to be fine, right? We're a baby. We're crawling in diapers. We're 2 months old. A year from now or 2 years from now, we'll have 1,000 members. We'll be a force in Hollywood. You know, we have invitations out to Spielberg and J.J. Abrams and all the big directors. Everyone knows about us. I've reached out personally to all the top celebrities who have, like Goldie Hawn recently,
Mm-hmm.
all the top celebrities who have gone on the record about their UFO or ET experiences. So we've been inviting people. James Woods has become a friend, believe it or not. He may join after the Oscars.
Nice.
He's a movie star. So social media, and then the other thing is we have on our board a guy named Sean West. Sean West is Nick Pope's agent and Richard Dolan's agent and Jason Martell's agent. He calls himself the agent to the UFO stars.
Yep.
And when I see him or speak to him, he says, Dan, my phones ring off the hook from producers all over the world. And he's been making deals left and right. Sean West has really been, and you should have him on probably. He's been the conduit, because he's an agent, between experiencers and researchers with production companies. And he's told me he's made quite a few deals already. I don't even know the details, but there's for movies, documentaries, TV shows.
So I actually just interviewed one of Sean's clients, Jovi Sofa Clark. So I actually do talk to Sean on the back end. I do know him. Yes.
Also, Steve, I don't know if you know this, Sean West has perhaps the most amazing personal UFO experience of anyone. You should ask him about it. It's remarkable.
I will.
It's remarkable.
I will.
Yeah.
What do you see coming up in the future? You know, like you said, you get the babies in the diapers and it's crawling along, and you've been in this business as far as, you know, promotion for and publicists for so many years. Do you see movies coming out of this, documentaries? What do you think can occur to assist with disclosure. It's in your name. So one of the things, that we talk about is this either catastrophic disclosure or
Right.
disclosure through the government or whatever. But it's been my kind of take on it that really disclosure is going to come about from us. I think that we, as people that are in the outside, right, we're not part of the government. We're not part of any type of private
Military.
industry, military. We're not that.
Right.
I think that disclosure is going to be and continue to be, like Steve has put out there. It's just a process. It's these incremental things. Now, I know Steve wants big D. He wants that big disclosure. He wants the president to come out there.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not alone.
Exactly.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I don't know that will necessarily happen. It may be that one of us, something like the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, continues to just chip and chip and chip and chip until the point where you go, you can't deny this any further. Like, there is no more hiding this. It is out there. Now, what do we do? Well, let's deal with it. What do you think of that? Do you think that's right? Do you think it's going to be the government?
Great question, Saul. If the president came on TV and said, "People of Earth, I have something to tell you. We've known about this a long time. We didn't. It was top secret, national security. That's why we didn't tell you. But the time has come." And first of all, Steve Bassett would be like crying with joy, tears of joy,
Yes,
weeping.
Yes.
I call that day D-Day number 2. Disclosure Day,
Absolutely.
after Normandy invasion, it would be
Yeah.
it really would be
that
D-Day.
epic.
It would be D-Day number 2. It should only happen that the president does that. If that doesn't happen, so many things. I mean, Chuck Schumer introduced legislation, which of course the House Republicans, neutered.
Right.
But he in the Senate. Stephen Bassett says that the Schumer is going to have hearings soon in the Senate of the next era of Dave Grush, the next era of whistleblowers. Well, if the Senate is maybe taken maybe a little bit more seriously than the House, but if the Senate's going to start having hearings, that's pretty hardcore. The House had the Grush hearing, of course. That if you're remotely aware of reality of life and have an open mind and an open heart, and you listen to what David Grush said that day, what he said was unbelievably remarkable. Now, I live in LA. He was on TV. I watched the whole thing. I'm like, wow, right? Non-human pilots, off-world craft that defy the laws of, this was Fravor. Fravor said craft that defy the laws of human physics. Okay, nothing serious.
Just
Okay.
little light entertainment. That's all.
Just little tidbits.
Right.
Non-human biologics. Right. So anyway, I live in LA. The next day, I was expecting headline. Right.
Nothing.
Whistleblower swears aliens are real. Right. It was on page 26 of the LA Times. Page 26 in a little article. I'm like, wow, this guy is totally credible. He was before Congress for what, like 2 hours? He was vetted. He's not some schmuck off the street from Wisconsin who said, I saw an alien in the forest. This guy's the real deal. That's on page 26 that there are aliens and extraterrestrials exist.
And there are factions continuing to lob bombs at this guy no matter what, and it's just
because he was depressed 30 years.
Absurd.
I was depressed too. Everyone gets depressed in life.
Right. And it's just like when I read that stuff and the attack and the hits on him, I was just like, that's just disgusting. Like, it's not even, this guy honorably served his country, is a hero in many respects. Went through a tough time, like a lot of our soldiers have, and these guys are, unimpeachable in my eyes, and especially David Grush is unimpeachable in my eye. I have a good friend, Michael Ian Black, who is an actor. He is big into the UFO community, and he's become a very close friend of mine. And we've discussed very, openly. And in fact, Michael put out an op-ed and talking about David Grush as his hero, and the hero of 2023, at least, if not just disclosure in general.
Right.
And it's been this amazing ride over the past, well, since 2017, since the Times broke the stories with the 3 videos, and Lou Elizondo and that whole thing.
Right.
But
exactly.
It just seems like, and I don't know if you've paid attention at all lately, but there's been some hits on Wikipedia pages where they're crossing out anybody that's in the UFO community. Lou, David Grush, Chris Mellon. I think they even hit Steve Bassett. They're basically trying to destroy all the narratives on Wikipedia, and they're getting to the point where it's almost, well, it's not. It's slander and libel written, but they're really taking these people who are fighting, I believe, for humanity and trying to destroy credibility. And it seems like it's the same cover up that we've seen for 80 years. Exactly. So that's why I think what you guys are doing is so important, because let's face it, Hollywood reaches the masses, and that is what we need. We need large scale information out there. I don't want to call it propaganda, because it's not. It's the truth. It's what's going on, and we need that. So from what I believe and what my thought process is you guys are doing, historic work as far as I'm concerned.
That's really sweet, man. I'm going to use that. Actually, I'm going to use that as a quote. That's really,
absolutely.
Really sweet.
It is. It's truthful. So.
Couple of things while I think of it. One is, if you'd like to join, just email me your bio and your photo.
Yep.
And tell your friend Michael Ian Black that we'd love to have him as a member as well.
Yep. He would do it in a second. And one day I could text him now. He'd be on the phone with you.
Have him reach out to me and we'll put him on. We are seeking, like I said, 50-50, both sides of the coin. Entertainment industry, people that have the talent and perhaps the power or the ability to bring stories to a screen, right? And people out there who have had experience. Listen, I'm a 3-time UFO experiencer myself, and those led to sort of my book as well. And that's a whole nother big story about my book. But to answer your earlier question, our hope is to have future feature films, TV shows, documentaries, and books, right? Mm-hmm. Based on real life encounters that our members have shared with the Sean Jablonskys of the world. Or we have a guy, Steve Longi, he produced an Academy Award film called Hacksaw Ridge. Mm-hmm. He's producing the Betty and Barney Hill story now as we speak. He's a major Hollywood producer. Well, he's looking for the next era of stories. So this is going to slowly but surely happen from Hollywood. Now, as far as I know, really think about the disclosure movement. Stephen Greer, Stephen Bassett. Those are the two guys, the two Stevens, right? They're both Washington, D.C. They're very much disclosure from the political, government, Washington, D.C. point of view. Hollywood, meantime, Independence Day, War of the Worlds, the aliens are coming to kill us or eat us. There was a famous Twilight Zone. I love my favorite one ever was called To Serve Man.
The book To Eat Man. Yeah. Oh yeah. Loved it. I agree. I still watch all of those.
I watched that the other day again. I saw it.
Love them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, don't get on the ship. It's a cookbook because it's called To Serve Man. It's a cookbook. Nobody knew that.
Don't eat Soylent Green either. That's the other one. We definitely don't want to eat that either. Yeah.
All right. That's absolutely right. So the question, there's a big question. A lot of people don't know. Are they benevolent? Are they evil? Are they both? I don't know. I mean, there are people I'm sure that know. We who are in this field, we don't really know for sure yet. My book has benevolent aliens. Why can't they be benevolent? Why can't they come and help us? But
I'll tell you, I think I have a story for your producer that's doing the
Betty and Barney Hill.
Yeah, I have something in mind. I already have a noodle going in there that I have a very close friend that has some pretty incredible stories and can back it up. That may want to have a discussion with him. So we'll talk about that off air, but
Okay.
we
Yeah,
certainly
yeah.
have some things there.
We are a matchmaking service. That's how I see it. We
Good.
we launched November 2nd. We are waiting for the IRS to give us 501c3 nonprofit status. That should
Mhm.
happen any day now. Once that happens, we will be seeking donations
Mhm.
and contributions, tax deductible from around the world, so we can propel our news forward with live events and our newsletter and mixers and bring people together.
Good.
But as far as I know, LA proper never did anything to help move the disclosure movement forward. And I think I was the fortunate one. I thought of it. I mean, it was my idea. So I think I'm very blessed and fortunate and fortuitous that I came up with the idea. It wouldn't have happened without me and Steve Bassett. It would not have happened without the two of us. But when we put chocolate and peanut butter together, we made something new, right? We're two fathers of a new kind of candy is basically
Right.
what it is. And, again, a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, I think we'll be big. Also,
You put aliens in my Hollywood and Hollywood in my aliens.
That's exactly what happened. Let me tell you how I thought of it. So 30 years ago, I've been a publicist 40 years, but 30 years ago, I was the publicist for a group called the Environmental Media Association, EMA. It was launched in the early 90s. Norman Lear, the late Norman Lear, producer, may he rest in peace. I met him several times. Nice guy. He conceived the Environmental Media Association. What that was bringing together Hollywood storytellers with environmental researchers and activists so that movies and TV shows would present environmentally, aware
Mhm.
topics in their show, like recycle, or get your smog checked on your car, or don't throw
Right.
trash in the ocean. Okay, so that's basic, but that's called EMA. Well, I launched EMA in 1991. The first year, Steve, we had a red carpet event. Every big Hollywood star you could name was there. And I'm the publicist, and I met everybody, man. I'm Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and Shirley MacLaine, and Ted Danson, and Sting. I'm escorting Sting to get his award. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Well, that was 30 plus years ago. So when I met with Stephen and he said, what can we do? I thought of environmental media, EMA. I thought we need 3 letters. I don't know why I said 3 letters. Environment. Okay, so Stephen's disclosure. I'm media. Well, I'm Hollywood, and Association Alliance. So that it mirrored that. And if you go to their website, they're still around. We are to ufology and UAP as they are to the environment. We're like, I'm like a baby cousin to them. That's how I see it,
Well, I'll tell you, there's definitely the need there, and it's a brilliant. As far as I'm concerned, it's a brilliant marriage because, like I said, Hollywood's got the clout to get things done. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of great story ideas there, and being able to bridge that gap between both Hollywood and ufology and do it properly so that it's a well-oiled machine. And you have obviously some pretty big hitters there, especially in the production world that I think can bring some amazing stories to the forefront. But one of the other things I want to do is I wanted to talk a little bit about, let's go over here, and we're going to share this one. We'll talk a little bit about your blog as well and your work here. So I wanted to come up here because we have 5, which I am excited to read. This is a new book that you have coming out.
You're the first person. You're the first person on planet Earth who has said that sentence to me.
Well, it sounds really, really cool because. So I'm going to read to everybody. I know you can read yourselves, but it's a tale of a serial killer in 1870s Europe who becomes a famous actor on the Hungarian stage while secretly murdering women at night. That's not good. After the killer's death, he becomes reincarnated 100 years later, his soul having entered the body of a young man in Boston, which, by the way, I'm from just outside of Boston, who quickly becomes the biggest pop music star in the world. Unbeknownst to him, however, is that in his past life, he was a serial killer, and this terrible proclivity had followed him into his latest incarnation into the 1970s as well. You've got like a couple things going on there that excite me. One is we go back to the 1870s Europe. So we're talking about Jack the Ripper time, right? We're talking about pretty cool time. And then we go to Boston, which is my hometown, which that there is exciting. And then you go to the 70s, and I love everything about the 70s. So I'm like all in. I'm very excited to read this one.
Well, my mother gets the first copy, and I'm going to send you the second copy.
Okay. I can't wait to read it because it's to me it looks. I even love this cover. Like that Rusty 5 is awesome. It's really beautiful.
I'll tell you the truth. That's a placeholder, that cover. But although I do love it, I'm going to have an artist create a woman's face from her eyes to her neck, and with a man's hand coming up and like strangling her like this, and the man's hand would be like a V, like 5, Roman numeral. But I like the Rusty 5. I may just go with that.
I do. The Rusty 5 looks good. I love it. It's unique. I think it's kind of. I think it's very interesting.
Doesn't it? Isn't it intriguing? Isn't that?
It intriguing? Is. It talks to me. I don't know. I like it. Sometimes simplicity is the best answer. It's like when they use silence in movies sometimes. Great example of that is what was it? The one about the lions that stalked people. Ghost in the Darkness. It won, I believe, an Oscar for sound, but they use sound as I guess, ambiance. It's like you just hear this. I remember watching it in the theater, and it was this just total silence, and then you could hear just over your corner, your right side or your left side, you could hear the lions stalking. So sometimes simplicity is the best, my opinion.
Great. Well, I haven't shown that image to my publisher, but if he likes it, because I really, really do like it a lot.
I do too.
It's because you'd see that, you'd go, okay, it looks kind of creepy.
It is. It's interesting.
You have no idea what it is. No idea what that is. But I think it might be kind of, because of the dark background, it might be intriguing. I'm going to show that. I'm going to show my publisher. If he likes it, I might go with that. Yeah, all right. Let me tell you how 5 happened. So 5 will be my 5th book. So that's number 1. It will be my 5th book. Number 2, I walk 5 miles every other day. And last summer, while I was walking on one of my 5 miles, I'm like, Steve, whatever reason, like 5, like just 5, the word and the number 5 just come in my head. I'm like 5. I wonder what that is. Okay, so I'm just 5. Then I'm like, well, if I read another book, it would be my 5th book. So I knew that. And then I came up with this crazy idea. I was like, what if Bruce Springsteen was secretly a serial killer, right? Biggest pop star in the world, right? Biggest pop music star in the world. But he had like a secret, like at night after a concert, he gets evil, like something happens and he kills his fans, but it's Bruce Springsteen. So even if he's caught, they're going to let him go because they're going to put you out the way. So I'm like, and I worked with Bruce Springsteen. I knew Bruce Springsteen in 1973. I worked with him in Asbury Park before he was famous. So I'm like, Bruce Springsteen, serial killer, 5. I'm like, okay, so if he was a killer, maybe he inherited a soul of a killer from a past life. I go, well, let's go 100 years back. So that's how it happened. Happened over the course of several of my 5-mile walks. Also, I went to Boston University, so that's Boston.
Oh, so that's, you're in the right place then. Yeah, no, I did. I saw the synopsis of that, and I was like, hey, that's one I definitely have to read. I'm a voracious reader. I read probably 4 books a month, so I constantly, at night, that's how I fall asleep. I read a book. So
well, check out you. Well, if you like Hollywood, all right. So while you're there, Flirting with Fame, which you have up there now, that was my first book. That's the history of my career in Hollywood and all the celebrities I've met or worked with or interacted with. And what happened was I turned 65 and I'm like, well, okay, I'm 65. I met Richie Havens when I was 15. a year before I met Bruce. So I'm like, Richie Havens, I was 15, and I'm still meeting celebrities now. It's been 50 years. I'm like, 50 years I've been meeting celebrities. So I took a sheet of paper, Steve, and a pen, and I just wrote down the names of all the celebrities I'd ever met, right? And there were hundreds of them. And then I put them in chronological order of when I met them. And then I thought, you know what, maybe, and this was during COVID when I wrote this book. So I was bored. I was kind of bored. I wrote the book in 2021 during COVID. I'm like, maybe there's a book here. So I wrote a book. It took me about 6-7 months to write it. And I have in the book, there's a lot of photos, me with Spielberg, me with Jerry Seinfeld, me with Mel Brooks, me with Sid Caesar, me with Steve Allen, me with Bob Hope, Milton Berle, Dr. Ruth, Jenna Jameson, Tom Hanks, Sylvester Stallone. I mean, I have so many photos from my personal scrapbooks. So I put it together. I finished it. I called a friend of mine named Ray. Ray is an author here in LA. He's one of my best friends. And I said, Ray, I just wrote this dopey book. I'm going to call it Flirting with Fame. What should I do with it? He said, there's a publishing company in Florida called Bear Manor Media, and they love Hollywood books. I said, okay. Never heard of them in my life. I looked them up. I got the name of the owner. I wrote him a note. Hey, Ben, my name is Dan. I'm a Hollywood publicist. I wrote a book. Here's what it is. Here's a few photos. Any interest? And Steve, 1 hour later, he wrote back from Japan. He's based in Florida, but he lives in Japan. He said, Dan, not only am I interested, here's your contract for the book.
Well, that didn't take long.
This is an hour after I wrote an email. I'm like, what? So I finished the book, called my friend, pitched Ben, and got a contract all the same day. I got a contract the day I finished this book. I'm like, well, this book was certainly meant to happen.
Meant to be. That was kind of like when I didn't know Michael Ian Black, and I reached out to him, and I just took a chance. I'm like, I don't know him, but I'm going to reach out. I said, Mike, would you like to come on my podcast? We'll talk about UFOs. We can just leave the discussion. Just let it go where it goes. 3 minutes. It was the fastest response to a podcast request that I had ever had. And since then, we've become very good friends. We talk daily. And that's why I think I brought that up to you, because I think he would just be a natural fit right into the UFO Disclosure Alliance. I think that, or the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, it would come right into exactly what you guys are doing. And I think that he has some really, really good insight. And he has his own story. I'll let him tell his own story, but he has his own story of seeing a UFO when he was a kid in high school.
Okay.
And it's interesting. I don't want to tell you. I'll let him tell that story, but it's definitely an interesting story. And that to me seems like it would be a very natural progression for you guys to be able to hook up and talk and see what he can do for you guys, because he has a huge platform, a massive platform. I mean, he's got like 1.7 million on his Twitter /X, whatever they call it.
So, right. I think it's called X, formerly Twitter. So yeah. Listen. So Steve Bassett and I are right now putting together a panel for Contact in the Desert in June. And we are hoping to have 5 celebrities sitting there.
Yep.
And I think your friend Michael could be the 5th celebrity. He could be perfect. So please have him. I'm also the publicist for Contact in the Desert this year.
Yeah.
So have Michael reach out to me for sure, man.
I will. And in fact, so I'm going to be interviewing I think April timeframe. I'll be interviewing the person that runs that. Yeah.
Right. Ron Janix, right.
This is actually something I've always really wanted to go to. I just have never been able to make it happen in the time frame. But it's something that I've always wanted to get to, and I will get to it eventually. Believe me, I will eventually.
This year really, because it's the 10-year anniversary. This year, forgive me, where are you based?
I'm Boston. I'm out of Boston.
Boston. Okay, yeah. If you can get your ass there, man, you really.
I'm gonna. You know what? I'm trying. Maybe I'll go with Michael if he's able to do something with you guys. Yeah. Yep, there's Paradigm. Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, I know all these names in here.
See my Asbury PR? That's
I see that right down here. I do. Yeah. Outstanding. So yeah, so we go to 2024 schedule, let me take. So I have 2 monitors now, so I'm not trying to look away. All right, so
Well,
some of this is still coming. But
we haven't announced this. We're going to announce the speakers in early February. So have
Okay,
your followers check this out on a regular basis.
Yep, I will do. So I think we've come up on it. Where are we? We're about 45, somewhere on there. Do you have anything else that you'd like to pop out there? Any things that you'd like to discuss?
Sure. Okay. So tomorrow night will be my 3rd episode of my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Live from Hollywood. ... It's paranormal tonight. I ripped off, Live from Hollywood. It's entertainment tonight. So I thought I like that. I'm going to shove paranormal in there instead.
Good.
So it's my show, same background as you see before here, but at night. So I have funky nighttime lighting. So the lighting is different. First show was Dee Wallace from ET. Second show was Stephen Bassett. Tomorrow night is my friend Ray, the author who I told you about earlier. He has, I think, 15 books he's written. He's met every movie star there is. But his mother was a witch. His mother was a witch, and she did witchcraft and she cursed 3 people. He saw this with his own eyes as a child. This is why I'm going to have him on. And he saw his mother curse 3 people who all died within a few months of the curse.
Oh, good Lord, that's got to mess you up as a kid a little bit.
All 3 of those people died. So I go, Ray, you have, he's not famous, nor am I, but Ray, it's a great story about his mother, his late mother. So I'm going to have him on. But
I'm going to watch that one and listen to that one for sure.
Have your people. So if you go to the UNX Network, THE space UN big X space network, the UNX Network. There are 30 shows on that network. Whitley Strieber has a show there. Peter Robbins has a show there. I have a show there. L.A. Marzulli has a show there. All right, Stephen, see if shows. See up there, the little thing on shows.
Right here.
Kick shows. And now go down a bit. You'll see these are all the shows. Go down. And then see on the right, Live from Hollywood. It's paranormal
right here.
Tonight.
There you go.
Click that one. That's me. And please, I'm looking, we had 250 people saw the first show. Nice. And about 250,000 heard it on audio. But I'm building up a show from zero, from scratch. I'm not a famous person, but I want to get this is everything: disclosure, ufology. Dee Wallace is a conscious creator. She helps people to imagine how to improve their lives and make them better, and then that happens. Steve Bassett, of course, disclosure. Ray's mother was a witch. I have the week after that. Robert Short was my very first PR client. He won the Oscar for the movie Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
He is the Oscar-winning makeup artist on Beetlejuice. I was his publicist when he got an Oscar. We're going to talk about Beetlejuice, E.T., Splash, Cocoon, Intruders. He's worked on so many of the biggest Hollywood blockbusters. He's a good friend of mine. And I have to tell him to make sure his Oscar is in the frame. I got to tell him.
I was going to say, I want to see that thing in the background. Maybe just.
I just thought of that. I'll say, Bob, make sure the Oscar is prominent while we're doing it. So have your people check that out. I'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That's the podcast. If you go to danharariauthor.com, that was the website you had up earlier. That's my author website. My 3 existing books are there. And info about the 2 upcoming books. My bio is there. My 3 existing books are on Amazon. And then HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. Read it. If you're interested, write to us. There's a contact page. Write to us. We'll see if you're someone that should be a member of our group. We're pretty open-minded. We've taken over 100 people. And so danharariauthor.com, the UNX Network, and HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. Those are my promos, I guess.
Absolutely. Hey, it's been great. I've loved talking to you. And certainly as we come forward a little bit more, I'm going to send you some stuff in the background.
Yeah, please.
And we'll get together. And Dan, I appreciate talking to you. It's been a lot of fun. It was very exciting. I liked it.
Me too, man. I had a great time. You are the first person on planet Earth excited about my book 5.
Well, I'm excited. I want to see
I
it. I
know.
want to read it.
Me too. I think it's the best thing I ever wrote. It's a novella. It's only like 150 pages, so it's not as big as my others, which are 300.
Well,
But
some of the best
it,
movies come out of novellas too. Stephen King does
Stephen
quite a
King,
good job with novellas.
right? It's a creepy, weird, dark, off the wall thing, but I think I nailed it, man. And my publisher loved it, so
I
I'm very
can't wait to
happy
read
about
it. Very excited.
Thank you, Stephen. That's really sweet. Thanks, man. Thanks for everything. Let's stay in touch, okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you. This has been another edition of Dear People of Earth, today with Dan Harary, and we hope to see you guys again soon.